really iconic, and they've done a really good job on the posability and also all the joins. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and today I'll be looking at this really nice Bandai kit. This is the 1:144 scale kit of the AT-AT from Star Wars. Now, this has also got really great artwork showing it on the planet of Hoth, as was seen in The Empire Strikes Back. So that was the episode where they were first introduced, and that was the first movie of the Star Wars series that I saw at cinemas, and that really left an impression. It had so many great vehicles. So they had the AT-ATs, they also had the S that was running around on the bottom as well, which they showed in a later episode more. But this particular kit is really iconic, and they've done a really good job on the posability and also all the joins for this particular kit, so you can put in a variety of different diorama poses. So let's just jump over to this overhead camera here. Okay, so here, let's just get that to focus in on the artwork there. So really great. You can see you have various positions. So focus on the central AT-AT there. You got the snow speeders coming in attacking. So this is part of the famous scene where the rebels were being attacked by the AT-ATs from the rebels. From the Empire that was coming to attack the rebels, and the rebels using these to great success bring down quite a few of these large, massive beasts. So they've got a very mammoth sort of look to them, and it conjures up images of the ancients where they used to have war elephants during the times of Alexander and such. Okay, so you've got nice box art there, and then along the side you see some really detailed images of the poses you can do. So I mean, this is a classical walking pose, slightly moved legs because it gives the impression of size and weight. Then over here you've got the fully collapsed version. So this is where a snowspeeder came around, tied up all the cables and tripped it over. So I've seen some really nice dioramas with this as well. So you can get yourself a 1:144 scale snowspeeder as well. It comes with the 72nd scale one. There's a couple of different versions, so look out for the one that's got the little one as well, and then you can bundle it together with this one and make that diorama. So over here you can see the optional laser parts, a few screen grabs there as well. It's got some pilot figures inside. Then over here you've got front view, side view, top view, and then 3/4 view of it on its base. So it also comes with this display base of the surface of Hoth. All right, let's have a look inside. So let's just open up the box. All right, so I've got a big box here. It's quite thick, and you can imagine, I mean, the parts are quite chunky. Now, if you don't know, Bandai is quite famous for their kits being pre-colored. This one's a bit simple though, because obviously it's going to be a light gray anyway, but some of the other more colorful kits, they're actually color separated into parts, so there's no real need for painting. Although I think with Star Wars kits, they benefit from some weathering. So if you just weather some of the scorch marks, or if you paint the whole thing, it'll be even better. They come up looking like a treat. Okay, let's put this aside and we'll start looking at the sprues in each packet. Okay, here we've got the main section. You can see the main body. A lot of reflection going on there, but this is the body here. Very cleverly molded in quite a large piece. So I guess a lot of other manufacturers would mold this into various panels, and obviously the problems you're going to have with that is alignment, because trying to put a box together, quite often you'll get that all wonky. But having this all molded, it acts like the basis for the shape being all correct and symmetrical. So on the bottom you can also see there's all these reinforcing ribs. So they're to stop it from warping, and also gives it strength after it's all completely built, so that you can have confidence in remodeling and reposing it without it falling apart on you. The other great thing about Bandai kits is they're designed so that you don't require any glue. So you can press these together and then glue the parts that you want extra strength, and then leave all the other parts so that there's less chances of actually, I guess, melting paint if you painted it. Just makes the overall assembly a lot easier. And then for bare beginners, it's really easy to just press it all together and actually get a good looking model without any paint at all. Okay, so again, you've got I guess it's the head of the AT-AT. It's been molded in a particular angle. So you can see how you've got Usually when you look at a sprue, it's very straight. This one has a framework all over, meaning this is using quite a lot of various slide molds. A slide mold technology is something that's generally used in higher quality kits, and a lot of the time you'll see this in a lot of the Japanese manufacturers. So they've really pushed this technology quite far. And basically what it means is, with normal mold, you've got the top and the bottom, and they squeeze together, and out comes all your parts on a flat looking sprue. Now what they've done here is, you've got your traditional top and bottom, they go together, and then you have the other parts that slide inside to add crisper details. So it's a really good example. Okay, so you've got that part, that's the main recognizable part. All right, we'll move on to this. So there's a couple of sprues in this packet. So we've got the base of the bodywork. So this is where the legs are going to be supported. So this is going to be quite structural, and Bandai are very good at doing that too. They engineer the strength into parts that are going to have quite a bit of load. So for first time builders, when you look at these compared to a more, I guess, traditional kit, some of the parts look chunky and you think, oh, they don't have a lot of detail in those because everything's chunky. But the idea is actually they've made it chunky for strength, and all the fine details actually molded into the surfaces. So if you have a closer look at some of these vents and such, you've got super fine fin detail. And then over here you can see all the mechanisms on the side of the hull as well. All right, so on this side, we've got the very base. So I guess you call this a chassis. So there's the base of the body, and this is where a lot of the legs are going to be attached. And then you have base of the head. There's the interior, and then some of the, I guess you call them propulsion parts, so part of the engines or looking bits that are going to be on the hull. Okay. From there we move on to this sprue here. So this is a good example of the multi-colored molds that Bandai do. So this is a simple example. So this part here, totally different color, which is molded onto the one piece of sprue. Quite often on a Gundam kit, you'll find 4 different colors on one sprue, which is quite advanced because it means that there's multiple pieces of mold being used to be able to achieve the different colors involved without actually having massive molds for each color. So here we have transparent red being used. So this is to replicate the lasers. So you can have those in there so it looks like the laser cannons are being fired. And then we have other joints and such. So you got I think these are the side turrets for the machine guns. So you've got guns here. And you've got a lot of small struts. And then these big chunky parts, you recognize those as being interior structural parts. So they'll be part of the maybe the neck mechanism or parts of the legs. But you can see what I mean by really fine parts. So you can see on this hatch, you've got the individual panel lines. See if we can get that to focus up. And you can see how clean these gun barrels are too. So also in there you've got a set of decals. So they look like water slide decals. Okay, so moving on, we've got, there's our base. Okay, so if I see if I can get some, here we go. If I do that, you can see the surface detail that's been molded into it. So that's to replicate Hoth. That's the snow-covered planet that the rebels escaped to. So nicely done, and there again you can see how you've got the white and then you've got a grey, so that if you build it without any paint, you're still going to have a differentiation. It's not going to look bland. Okay, so it's practically a diorama already included. All right, so here we've got, let's see, they look identical. So you've got 2 identical sprue in this bag. Now they're identical simply because these are the legs. So the leg is going to use quite a few common parts. And you've got the bases here, you've got the little toes, and you can see the toes are actually hinged. You've got a set of stickers here. So Bandai, in quite a lot of their Star Wars kits, give you the option of using stickers, which are quite thick and good for beginners to use because you don't need special techniques of dipping in water. Or if you want a truly authentic look, then the other packet had the water slide decals in it. So you can see here how the ends of the legs are quite chunky. So they're there for strength. This is because they're all going to be hinged, and you can fully bend the legs into various positions. Here you've got the bases of the feet, so I guess you call those the ankles. And then there's the pilots here too. So being identical, so they'll have one pilot here, and you get the other pilot off the other sprue, which is on this side. So you see him just sitting there. And just from the legs, you can see how many components there are. So you can just imagine how much detail there is. Okay, because generally the more parts you have, the greater the detail is. Okay, so they're the legs. And okay, so that's all the plastic parts. Let's look at the manual. All right, so all the Bandai manuals are very nice. Quite dramatic image there. The front view of the actual kit. You've got a few screen grabs there. Just give you a bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It will come to me. Okay, so first page here, we've got the legend here of the parts, so you know exactly where to find the components. They're all numbered. And then over here, it gives you an idea of how the construction works. So the head is number 1, so you're going to start with the head. Number 2 is going to be the legs. And then 3 is the bodywork, and then 4 is going to be the base. So that's the order of the construction. Over here is giving you ideas on how to find the parts, so explanation on the part numbering system. Over here is how to cut the parts out with side cutters, how to clean the parts up, and then it gets into the construction stage. So over here you've got the darkened shaded part, so we're going to concentrate on the head for part 1. So we start with building up the neck section, and then you've got the pilots that go into the cockpit. They're dropped into the bottom of the head. Head goes onto the neck section, and then you're basically building up the bulkheads to the cover of the head with the turrets on the sides, and then the guns are going into place, and that's pretty much the head all fixed up. Next is the legs. So the legs are going to be doing multiples of, so you've got the front section and the rear section. So basically you've got leg A, so you've got the construction here, and you see how it's all pressed together with the hinging. And then you go to leg B, so you've got front legs and back legs, and here it's got the indicating 2 times here, so basically making 2 fronts and 2 rears. Okay, so this is completing the last lot of legs, and then you get into building of the main body. So the main body, you see there's all shaded dark, and then you've got these propulsion systems here. They look like engines on the base, and then this is the bottom. I guess you call that the chassis, or the bottom of the hull. Those engine parts that you built up earlier, they get put into the bottom there. You've got front and back sections of that hull, and then you've got the mid section of the hull. So they're the parts we saw earlier with all that side detail. The end points are clipped into place, so that acts as a whole sub-assembly, gives it strength, and then you've got the top part of the hull, which has got the finer details of some panels, and then that's slipped over the top. And then you've got the legs, which you already have as sub-assemblies you finished earlier, and this is how they're easily connected up to the bottom of the hull. So they just get pressed into the joints. You've got some covers here, which go onto the inside of the legs as well. You're finishing up with some final panels. So front, back, more guns for the side of the head, and then you've got construction of the base. The base is pretty simple. You pretty much just cut it out and clean it up. You put the blocking section there because I used the same common base for the snowspeeder. So obviously the snowspeeder would have a strut coming out of here, and you don't need that for the AT-AT, so there's a little blanking spot which just covers that up. And then you've got the AT-AT just sitting on the base. Now over here you can see you got your optional lasers here. These were those clear red parts before. If you're really clever, you could probably drill out these particular guns, put some LEDs at the back, and then you'll be able to have this sort of fiber optic effect of these lasers glowing. So here we go. So that's the end of construction. So at the back, you've got the decal instruction placement guide. There's not a lot of decals, so they're basically just in the cockpit area here. So you have your choices of the stickers or your water slide, and if you're doing water slide, there's a basic instruction here on how to put water slide decals on as well. So this really acts as a painting guide as well. So you've got the paint colors here. So it gives you formulas on how to mix this particular paint, just to get that muted tone. And also with these photos, it gives you ideas on how to weather it as well. So we've done some light washes and some panel weathering as well. It's quite easy to do with some weathering powders, even the weathering sets that you get from Tamiya. So there we go. That's the Bandai 1:144 scale AT-AT. This is I think it's the largest kit available of the AT-AT at the moment. So there were bigger kits available. I think Revell released a huge kit, which isn't very common. But if you're looking for something that goes together extremely well, looks really good, easy to pose and easy to display, I guess, because it's not super huge, obviously you need a lot of room. And also it's much better than the earlier AMT MPC type kit. So that's the Bandai AT-AT 1:144 scale. And if you're interested in seeing other videos, just consider subscribing, and I hope you enjoyed this open boxing.